Welcome to the Book Buzz Show with Cheryl, where we dive into the captivating world of books. Here at the Book Buzz Show, we encourage you to make your pages turn with joy and immerse yourself in a magical literary experience. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Book Buzz Show with Cheryl, where we dive into the captivating world of books. Here at the Book Buzz Show, we encourage you to make your pages turn with joy and immerse yourself in a magical literary experience. Enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome to the Book Buzz Show. I'm your host, Cheryl Brooks. And if you are new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. If you enjoy the upcoming show, please like, follow, subscribe, and share the broadcast. Also, for those of you who are new here to the Book Buzz Show, we do discuss the book and the characters, so there will be some minor spoilers, but we don't give anything too major away that'll spoil your reading enjoyment. Also, in addition to this being a live broadcast, the Book Buzz Show is now a podcast as well. Well, it's been a podcast for a while now. So you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts under the Book Buzz Show with Cheryl. And then you can catch us when you're on the go. Okay. Also, I'll let you know that tonight's episode is being brought to you in partnership with Black Odyssey Media, and that is their logo on the screen for those who are watching. For those who are listening later, again, that's Black Odyssey Media, and you can check out their roster of authors at blackodyssey.net. We've had several of them on the show, so you can also check out the interviews that I've had with them. Just go back through our previous broadcasts. All right. We have a great show in store for you tonight. I'm happy to have author Michelle Hardin on, and we're going to be talking about one of my favorite book couples. And here is the book cover for book one on the screen called Dangerous Beauty, and it's a series. This is book one. Again, for those who are listening later, that's Dangerous Beauty by Michelle Hardin. And I have to tell you, I'm actually rereading it. I read it years ago, and I'm doing a reread, and I'm enjoying it like I'm reading it for the first time. So um, I can't say enough about it. So I can't wait to talk about it. So I'm going to bring on tonight's guest along with my co-host this evening, Jennifer Copeland. Bring them to the stage and turn on. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, looks like we have. Hi, Islan. We have Islan in the audience. Thank you for joining us this evening. Islan, I don't know if you read any of this series before, but I have to tell you, you have to check it out if you haven't. All right. And we also have Instagram up, so I'll try to keep an eye on that as well because they don't show up in the main comments. Jennifer, if you could keep an eye on it too, just in case we have any comments over there. All right, so we're going to get right into it. For those who are new to you, and this is my first time speaking with you in person, face to face, can you tell us a little bit about your background and your professional writing journey, how you got started?
Yes, it was actually in college when I first even picked up a romance book.
Oh,
Um,
really? Okay.
I don't have a long history reading, at least it wasn't in my younger years, but I picked up my first romance novel in college. My sister's friend was into the 50 Shades of Grey craze.
Oh, yes, yes.
So she told us to check it out, and I did, and I kind of was so um enamored with this whole world of romance that I didn't even know existed, and I just could not put down books after I read that. I was just kind of I kind of got lost in the whole book world on Goodreads and stuff, and then I kind of fell over into interracial romance,
Hmm.
and then
Now,
my
how did
obsession with
that come
that.
about?
At Goodreads, I was looking for things to read with heroines that looked like me.
Hmm.
So the first book that I read was an interracial romance, and I
Oh, okay.
loved it. And I kind of got um, engrossed in that. And I just was reading books from down lists, and eventually I came across mafia romance.
Hmm.
And when I came across mafia romance, I loved it. I really did, but there was something that I was looking for in the heroines that I could not find in any book. And then I was just like, I wonder if I could write it. And
Okay.
it was just like, I wonder if I could write it type thing. And me and my little sister kind of just went on a journey of me writing stuff and asking her, does this sound like a book? And so eventually I wrote my first book that way, and it is known as Dangerous Beauty.
So that was book one was your first published book.
It was my first book that I've ever written.
Okay. Okay. I love that. And what was the process as far as you actually completing the book, and did you shop it around after that, or did you already know that you were going to how you were going to publish it? Was it independently published?
It was published by a small press
Okay.
first. Um, I am an independent author now, but it started in Dewey Moss. I sent it to them first because I read a romance novel by one of their novelists that they published, and I liked it. And I was like, well, maybe I can get published by them. And I sent it, and they contacted me
Okay.
back that they would publish it.
I love that. Love it. How long did it take you between the time that you first started to sit down and decide I'm going to try to write this book, between that time and the time you finished and published it?
I wrote Nature Speeding one quite quickly, probably about a month and a half. I told my mom I wasn't going to take summer classes because I was in college, and I was like, Mom, I kind of want to try this book thing out. And she was a little like, because she was really hardcore for going to college and stuff like that. So
Right.
she was like, okay, well, it's just the summer. So I took off the summer and wrote that book.
I love
It
it.
took about a month and a half.
Are you a full time writer now, or do you still have a?
Now I am a full time writer, yes,
Okay.
but I haven't really published in a long time for multiple reasons.
Okay. Um. Now, what has been the most difficult thing about becoming an author,
The most difficult thing so
or
far
what
that
being an author, I should say?
the most difficult thing that I have experienced as an author is writer's block. It's serious, especially like after taking some time off and coming back in it and kind of getting back into the groove. When I was younger, I was kind of arrogant. I was like, I'm never going to have a flow interruption. But when I had my first flow interruption, that was the biggest hurdle that I had to overcome and
Uh,
being an author.
okay. I can see. I've talked to other authors about that. Some authors say they don't believe in it. Some do.
It's real. It's real. It's like a little flow block
Hmm.
of your imagination, and it's like it takes some exercises to get over it. Hard
Okay.
work.
Cheryl in the audience is saying that. Can you hear me now, Cheryl? They were saying that I wasn't sounding very loud. Can you hear me now? I moved my mic a little closer. Let me know if you're still having trouble hearing me. All right. So okay, so that was the most difficult. What is the most rewarding thing about being an author?
I would say the readers. I love, Not only do I love writing my stories and getting my imagination out on paper, I love talking about it. And meeting new people has been probably, and talking about my stories with these people, because it's like, having other people fascinated by your imagination is very rewarding. So my favorite part is the readers. You get to meet so many different types of people, and it's so fun every time you get to meet someone new.
I love that. Now, what would you say is your specialty as far as like I know I've talked to other authors and like they may have a specialty where they can really write sex scenes or sensual scenes. What would you say is your sweet spot with writing?
Um, I would say the dialogue. I'm really good at writing crazy people, people that have a little
And you
something
definitely
going
have
on.
that. You definitely have that in here.
A little
Uh,
something going on in the head. I studied psychology in college, and it's kind of helped me in that area of writing mentally disturbed people.
okay. Yeah, I can see for both and your dialogue. I love the dialogue as well between so it
Thank
flows,
you.
it's so realistic. So I definitely agree with that in your writing. Now when you're writing something like mafia romance, how do you balance the romance with some of the darker themes of the story?
I try to incorporate the two sometimes. If I can make the uh the hero and the heroine have some kind of connection with the darkness,
Mm.
it helps with the romance.
Mm.
It really does. So you kind of can just like have the two coexist, and you don't
And
have to separate the worlds.
now, is there an intention behind like trying to make sure that um you balance out the romantic elements and the darker elements as far as one not overtaking the other, or does it is it not intentional, or is it something you think about?
Yeah, it is. I have a rule that there can't be more of the dark business side than the romance. It
Mm-hmm.
has to be more of the cute kind of angsty romance. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I keep
Yeah.
it balanced.
Yes, and I think you've done a great job as far as that in these two, because I
Thank
don't feel
you.
like one overpowers really the other.
Thank you.
It's a real good balance. Something that I've started asking the romance authors is, what is your go to when you're looking for a good romance as far as a book or a movie?
My
What would
go-to romance book.
or a movie? Mm-hmm.
Oh, I would go to a book before I go to a movie, and
Okay.
it would be Perfectly Mixed by Anne Sully, I believe that's her name. She is my favorite. Anything she writes, I read it. So those
What's
are
her
my
name again?
Anne Sully.
Oh, and Sally. Okay, yeah, I've read her in the
Yes,
past. Yes.
I
Um,
love her books.
yeah, I agree. I haven't read her in a
Perfectly
while, but
Mixed.
yeah, I have. I'm gonna check that one. I don't know if I've read that one.
Oh,
Um,
Perfectly Mixed is really good. You'll love
okay.
it.
And we have somebody a question in the audience or a comment. Let me see. Tabitha B is saying, "I have missed the Dangerous Beauty crew. Is Mickey next? Will the crew be welcoming more kids? And will we get books on females in Carter's organization?" Good questions.
Well, that's a really good question. That last one, especially. Shall I answer?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes, Mickey is next. It'll be Dangerous Beauty Part 6, The Dawn's Daughter.
Okay.
Um, And yes, there's more kids. There's more kids now because, as you remember in book five, that couple was pregnant.
Mm.
Um, and as for Carter's, the ladies in Carter's organization, I was thinking about it, but I will know for sure after I release this sixth book.
That would
I'll
be
see what you
interesting to
guys
get.
say.
Yeah, I would think so because I would love to get more backstory on
Hmm.
them. We've gotten a little bit of it, but just to see what their backstory is would be interesting. I would think.
Right.
Um, and I love that whole vibe too with her and her ladies.
Oh
Love
yes,
it,
I love it too.
love it, love it. Now how do you celebrate when you finish or when you publish a book? Do you do anything special?
I just celebrate with family. It's kind of my tradition now. Get together with my mom, my grandma, pray, and then just sit around and watch the charts and bite my fingernails.
I can imagine it's nerve wracking.
Yeah.
All right, so for those who are new to the series, can you give us like a brief overview of what it's about, what they can expect?
Yes. Nathan and Carter are two young people that met when they were 3 and 5 in a garden. Their parents are active in the criminal underworld. Nathan is the son of the boss, of a mafia boss, and Carter is the daughter of a hitman. It kind of centers around them meeting in this garden when they're kids, and then I'm not sure how many years later, 19, I believe, years later, they meet again.
And I love that. I love that too. That they didn't even realize at first that they were the same two little kids
Right.
that had met when they were younger, and they had such it was such a lasting impression that they both made on each other
Yeah.
that it's like they went through some kind of like depression or withdrawal. These little bitty kids because when they weren't couldn't find when they weren't apart when they were apart. So I thought
Yeah.
that was interesting, and then for them to fate brought them back together basically. So I love that aspect. So I think this would be a perfect time to read the little snippet um,
Oh,
for
wonderful.
everyone, and I'm going to bring you forward, and we'll be in the background while you're reading.
Okay, wonderful.
All right. And if you could just set up the scene that you're about to read.
Yes, it is from chapter one. It's starting off, the book is starting off with Isabella because, well, that's just how it started. But it's starting off with Isabella, so I'm only going to read a small little snippet, but I will be posting the full chapter on my website pretty soon. So, chapter one of Dangerous Beauty, part six, The Don's Daughter. You coming home tonight? Isabella nodded before she remembered she was on the phone. Yes, she answered, even as she kept her eyes on the target in the high rise building across from her. He was sitting back like a king as his subjects surrounded him, most likely briefing him on what deals they made during the day. Keegan O'Sullivan, Irish, big, powerful, dangerous. He did something to piss Katerina Salerno off and engulfed his entire organization in a brutal war with the Stone organization that Isabella was about to end. What time? Because everybody's here for dinner. Isabella watched closely as the men moved about the luxury apartment, chatting about whatever, and she wondered if they had any clue how much danger they were all in. Why they thought Isabella couldn't disarm their defenses was beyond her. She hated being underestimated. Yes, technically, she was still considered new to this, but she learned fast. Plus, this all felt natural to her. Not to mention, she was well versed in the ways of the underworld culture due to the different places life had taken her thus far. She didn't make mistakes. She was a perfectionist, creative when it came to her kills, and felt that thus far in her underworld career, she'd more than proved that she had what it took to be considered formidable. But there they were, the Irish criminals, walking around as if they were safe during their war with Caterina Salerno. I don't like when you ignore me, Isabella. It's rude. Though she wasn't completely paying attention to him, she responded, I'm not ignoring you. You're lying, he replied. Isabella smirked because he was right. He was her most perceptive of her siblings. I called my sister about my day, and she obviously couldn't give a damn. Stop cussing, Isabella said passively. No, Alexander replied with his normal defiance. Isabella rolled her eyes. Standing up straight, she pushed back the errant strand of her hair that the wind had blown from her bun and walked across the roof where her gun sat. She called this baby the war ender. This would be the third war it ended, and Isabella was certain it wouldn't be the last. Yeah, I get it. I'll set an alarm for when you come home tonight, and there better be gifts because it's going to take something for me to forgive you for ignoring me. I call because I care. Isabella frowned. You called because you're bored, remember? She smiled, a little, she smiled, a small smile, as she reminded her brother what he said when she first picked up the phone. I said, hello, Alex, and you said, I'm bored. I am bored, he replied, making Isabella's lips pull in a half smile. I'm waiting for everyone to go home so Pop and I can go swimming when the rain starts. Alexander's absolute favorite thing to do during the rainy season was swim. There was something about swimming in the rain that that boy just loved, and his father was his favorite swim partner. I wanted you here for dinner tonight, but I can see now that you care more about your job than you care about your family. Isabella snorted a laugh, and she knew Alexander was smirking. Sure, was all she said in response. Her job was her family, and the boy knew that. He was just being a jerk. That's all that I have to read for now.
All right. I'm looking forward to reading the continuation of this story. I can't wait. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
now we're going to get into the book and the characters in the series. Okay, so as you said in your overview, um, the main characters are Nathan and Katarina,
Yes.
and they both come from a world, basically a mafia world. Now Katarina, and they call her Carter.
Yeah.
Um, her father was a hitman for the mafia,
Yes.
and because of everything that he had been through as a child, and just knowing the world, through the prism of looking through the eyes of being in that world, he wanted her to be prepared and be able to defend herself. So I remember when I first read this years ago, and again now rereading it, I thought it was just so amazing and crazy as far as an intense the training that he put her through. At first, I
Hmm.
was like, okay, when I like, for instance, one of the drills that he put her through when she was a teenager, he wanted her to learn how to dodge bullets,
Bullet.
basically.
Yeah.
So he actually would take the gun and shoot, and she would have to like concentrate and
Yes. He
anticipate.
was blindfolded.
Right. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But you figure he wanted to, have her use her other senses.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
and at first you'd be like, okay, this is like a form of abuse in a way, but then it
Hmm.
was it was because he wanted her to be almost invincible, basically.
Yes.
Very hard to
Basically
kill.
because of what he went through when he was a child.
Right, and it was actually done all out in love, and what I like
Mhm.
too is that she recognized that she knew that he loved her. She never felt that he was doing anything to harm her or to be abusive or anything like that.
Right.
Because that's one of the things I love too is the bond between her and her father. Um, love the chemistry between her and Nathan, and we touched a little bit on this too. That they first were brought together when they were 3 and 5,
Mhm.
and the scenes you did such a great job with the scene with them. It was so touching. She was shy and she
Thank
was
you.
afraid, and her because her father and his father were in the meeting, so it was him and her and Nathan's mother, and so Nathan, little protector at 5, he took her under his wing and
Yeah.
hugged her and gave her a little kiss, and it stuck with both of them for years, and they never realized when they came back together that they were the same people. So I really
Yes.
really enjoyed that. Jennifer, what did you think about that as far as fate bringing them back together from when they were small?
It was so touching. That first scene, it just it was just swoon worthy, knowing that they were just 5 and 3,
Yes.
and it caught me.
Thank
Yes,
you.
because you figure too when you're young, like even now, you have certain memories that stand out to you.
Mhm.
So they both that meeting that one time made such a lasting impression on both of them that they both took parts of that encounter with them throughout their life and up into adulthood. Because when Nathan first sees her again, her beauty is what catches him at first. But then he notices that she does something with the rose. She kisses the rose, and that
Mhm.
reminds him of his mother. And she did it because she remembers that from when she was a little girl, that this nice lady, and she remember her in the garden kissing the rose.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Do you remember how you came up with now when you came up with how did you come up with the concept of the story? Do you remember?
It took a couple of tries coming up to what I wanted it to be. It was the story was completely different when I first
Okay.
started it. It was two college students, but then I kind of just had this daydream about like what if they met when they were little,
Mm,
and I wanted it to be something profound that they would remember.
right.
And so that's why I kind of, just went with that.
I loved it, loved it. That was one of my favorite parts. And when I started reading it again, it just brought it all back. And I remembered that part of the story just even years later. I remembered that even before I started reading it again. So it even stuck with me as a reader. Um, now, Carter had some really strong um, bonds and strong relationships. And one that I wanted to talk about was her relationship with Kyle.
Hmm.
Okay, so Kyle, he meets her when her father um, dies, and she's on
Hmm.
her own, and she has to live a secret life. Basically, she's a different person because she knows that
Yes.
there's people out there trying to harm her,
Hmm.
and uh, she meets Kyle, and they strike up a friendship. I think they like flirted with maybe it
Yeah.
being more, but then when she told him what she was looking for, a relationship, he knew that he was
Yeah.
not a one woman man, basically.
Yes.
And he didn't want to ruin the friendship. Um, but I always thought their relationship, the dynamics between them were interesting over the series. And it changes. Their
Yes.
relationship changes over time. Uh, now when Nathan ended up being Kyle's best friend, So Nathan sees Carter on his way to visit Kyle.
Mhm.
Then when he gets to the restaurant and he gets there with Kyle and the rest of their crew, he sees Katerina that he was just entranced by while he was, on the way there
Yes.
when he happened to see her. So, and then when she sees him, it's like they have some kind of like cosmic
Yes.
type thing going on because as soon as their eyes lock, it's like nobody else is there.
Yes.
And I think they even make out. Don't they make out or something like that? Doesn't he kiss her?
Yeah, there's like a short short makeout
And
session.
I was like, oh my gosh. And so Kyle was looking like because he considers Katerina his.
Yes, he did.
So that was a blow to him. Like, okay, what's going on?
Mhm.
So
He
that was
kind of
another
wanted to.
interesting. Yes, that was another interesting
Yeah.
scene. I love that scene. When all of them are at the restaurant. Jennifer, what did you think of that scene?
Yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes too. And the other one was when Nathan was entranced with her when he saw her kiss that rose and stopped at all that
Mm-hmm.
traffic.
And all the traffic is blowing, and Mickey is like, "What's going on? What is going on with you?"
That
Oh
was
man.
funny.
So many beautiful scenes in this or standout moments. That was one for me. Hi Myra, thank you for joining us. And Myra, I don't you're just joining us, but again, this is Dangerous Beauty series. And it's one of my top book couples. When people ask me, my favorite book couples, they're always at the top. Or one of the ones at the top, I should say. Um, okay, so with Katerina and Kyle. Okay, so Kyle goes through a period where he is feeling a certain way about Nathan and Carter being together, and which is understandable. But
Mhm.
he had a choice. He had a chance before Nathan even entered the picture
Yes.
if he wanted it to be more between Carter and him. Um, so he basically just disappears because he can't take seeing them together for the most part. He
Mhm.
makes himself scarce, and what I love the scene too when they hadn't seen each other for a while. They were in the same in the same house, Kyle's house. And then when Carter comes downstairs and sees him, and she just runs to him, and he's so happy that she still is
Yeah.
happy to see
It's happy to
him
see him.
when yes. So I just love the dynamic between them because I
Mhm.
love that I love when it's a male female friendship.
Mhm.
And I just love their dynamic. They love each other, but not that type of way.
Right.
hmm It looks like we have a couple more people in the audience. Um, Avian, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. She says she's read the series 3 times. Yes, it's up there. It's one of the best ones for me. I love so much about it. Um, love so much about the scenes in the series. Okay, so another standout for me was the scene we are on book one. Everybody, I don't know if I mentioned that I'm talking about right now. The scene at the Salerno high-rise building, where Carter was to meet Nathan's father for the
Mhm.
first time. And okay, let's can you give us a little backstory on Nathan's father, because Nathan's father is the Don,
Mhm.
and he was close friends with Carter's father, and also had a past relationship with her mother.
With her mother, yes.
So can you set the scene a little bit for when Carter meets him for the first time? Actually, something happens when she goes to the to the high rise,
Yes.
and so just set the scene for us a little.
Her her mother is very well known, but she's reclusive. So people haven't really seen her in a long time. So Carter, being the little doppelganger that she is, comes to visit for the first time and the older men of the organization think that she's her mother.
Right. And
So
because of the type of mother that she has, where she's basically a she's a French assassin, basically, right?
yeah, she's taken over for her father,
Right.
who was a boss. But yeah, she had her she was kind of looked at as an assassin just because of the things her father had her doing when she was young.
Right.
She had an interesting father. So so yeah, she's basically just somebody that people are cautious to be around.
Right. And afraid of, and
She's unpredictable.
she's very unpredictable, and she's deadly. And
Hmm.
that's one thing that her and her daughter have in common. And both of their fathers, well, I don't know, did he train her, or did she end up was the father the one
Um,
who trained Anastasia, or was that done after?
Anastasia did get some training from Carter's father too
Okay, okay,
after Carter was born.
okay, okay. Um, because it was interesting that scene, when all the soldiers, or the mob boss, his soldiers on the
Yeah.
floor, they think that they're seeing her mother and not her, so they draw their guns on her,
Yes.
and she's already nervous about meeting Nathan's
Yes.
father for the first time, and then this happens where
Yeah, you
all
never
these
know
guns are
which
pointed
Carter
at
you're
her.
gonna get. You never know which Carter you're gonna get, whereas like she'll either break down and cry or she'll go insane and start fighting.
Right, right.
So it keeps her unpredictable as well.
Right, and we talked about this a little bit off camera. That's one of the things I love, is that she's fierce. She's both fierce, and she's also vulnerable. She can be vulnerable,
Hmm.
especially with the people that are in her circle. They see the vulnerability in her, but she's also very deadly, like her father and her mother.
Yes.
Um, and like you said, you never know which one you're going to get, because in that situation, she could have ended up being the deadly one,
Yes.
but it ended up affecting her a different way, where
In an
it
emotional
overwhelmed
way.
her. Right.
Yes.
So I love that scene as well. And how she said, Kyle, get me out of here, and he picks
Yes.
her up and takes her to the
And
office.
takes
And
her
I
to
like
the
too
office.
that Nathan, it doesn't come between him and Kyle, because he knows that Kyle loves his wife.
Yes.
Um, but I think he knows that Kyle would never ever cross a line.
Yeah, if you look at the five, Nathan's kind of like the dad. He's very calm when it comes to his brothers, very patient with them.
Mm-hmm.
Even when it comes to that, he knows that Kyle loves her, but he's not going to do anything.
Right.
He's not going to say
Right. And that's what I
it.
love too, because I read a lot of mafia books, and some of them is so much betrayal between the friends and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So I love that you made them totally loyal to each other.
Yes.
These five men would never betray each other ever,
No,
and I
that
love
was
that.
very important to me when I wrote
Hmm.
it.
I love that aspect of it. Now, so before we move on to book two, Jennifer, do you remember what were any of your like favorite moments or standout moments in book one, or heartfelt moments?
Um, the f- the first one was that scene you was describing, and Nathan came and got Carter, and she was calmed down. That was one, and when they reconnected, when they went to the beach, was
Oh
another.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the way she was just flirting with the daddies of the five.
I was
That
gonna
was
bring
so
that. I
that
was
was
Yeah.
so funny.
I was gonna bring that up, and that was one of my lighthearted moments too. And I had to ask you about that, because at first it was making me, because the way she kept flirting with, how do you pronounce his name? Cesar. The
Cesare.
Cesare. The way she kept flirting with him, it was a little too much at sometimes. Like, okay, this
Yeah.
is like a little inappropriate.
I was
Uh,
touching it.
even Kyle and Mickey were like, "Come on, what are you doing? Quit flirting with our father."
Yeah. That
But
one
if he
was
was as
a
good
lot of
looking,
fun.
but if he was as good looking as she described him in the book, I would have been jumping
Exactly.
too. So
Exactly. She just had a little crush. She loves her husband.
Right,
But
right, right, and it came
but
across as just like
Cesare is just
right. It came across as it was just all in fun. Um,
Carter showing affection is just very fluid for her to
yeah.
show affection or to be unafraid when she thinks somebody's handsome.
Mm-hmm.
But she has her limits.
Yes, and I love his reactions too. He even though he's this suave player,
Yes.
she embarrasses him. Is she you
Yeah.
can almost tell that he's blushing or something when
Yeah.
Tabitha B saying right when Carter kept acting so bashful. And she can be bashful at times too. That's why it's so many facets. It's
Yes.
so many parts of her. Because sometimes even with Nathan, she'll act bashful, and then other
Yeah.
times
He's the
it's,
one
she
that
does right,
makes her all,
and then other
flustered and
times
shy.
she's a vixen. The vixen comes out.
Yes.
Aviana is saying she loved when they met in the restaurant. Loved how they took on out the hating uh
Oh.
co-worker, the waitress. Yes, yes.
Yes.
She
The
needed
waitress.
to. She needed to be. I couldn't
yeah,
stand
she
her.
needed it.
Oh, that was another standout moment too. Was that book one? Yeah, it was book one, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
When they were at the house and uh he ended up Carter ended up finding out that he ended up sleeping with her nemesis from the
Yes.
restaurant. And the way she came in there and just kept talking about Carter, and I'm
Right
like,
in front of her.
yes. And she sat there for a while. She said, "I told my father, I promised my father was gonna be a better person.
Right. Her father told her she's not allowed to hit girls.
Can't hit girls because she's so strong and got so many skills that he knew
Hmm.
that she would hurt another female. But she was trying her best. But I thought that was the best thing because she asked her, okay, what would you do? Because the girl
Right.
said, then she told her what she would do to her, and Carter was like, okay, let's play, let's bring it on. And then she was like, what's going on? Like I
That
wasn't
that
talking right, so I didn't really
that
mean
had
it.
me. That had me like, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? And then when Carter told her how she would hurt her and kill her, I
Yes.
was like, go. I was like, go, Carter.
I love that she how skilled she is with knives. Um
Hmm.
when she showed that's another one of the standout moments, but I think this might have been book two. Um when I think it is book two when she's telling her mother that her father taught her how to catch knives, basically to
Yeah,
throw them
Yes.
that's
at her.
book two.
And she didn't believe her. And Nathan was about to have a conniption because he like and Nathan's father, Angelo too, was like, "What? Wait a minute!" When Anastasia
Yeah.
just
Just
threw the
threw a
knife at
knife.
her, and Carter
Because
caught it.
Carter's parents are always putting her in danger.
Oh man! Wait a minute, who she say slept with Kyle? Wait a minute, let's see. Oh, she slept with Kyle, but the girl was hating really bad. Yeah, she definitely
Yeah.
was, because she recognized how Kyle loved Carter, and even though it was platonic, she couldn't handle
Hmm.
it because she knew he would never ever have feelings for her,
For
and
her.
yeah. Um, and she's saying she thinks she was jealous of Carter because everyone loved Carter, and she is yeah, and she said it. She said you got all of them food or something. She said
Hmm.
they all falling all over you. And so she started insulting her even more
Yep.
about her looks and calling her fat and all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love Carter's comeback, like fat. You mean curves? And
Right.
she said, "I'm a woman." Yes, just love. I love that scene too. Okay, so we're gonna move to book two. All right, so the prologue of book two between Angelo and Anya, Nathan's mother, was a difficult read. I felt so bad for Anya.
Me too,
I
yeah.
felt so bad for her because she loved this man. He
Mhm.
basically only married her to get his son to the States.
Mhm.
And he was in love with another woman the entire time. But it was basically put in her face when she overheard the conversation between him and
Yeah.
Anastasia. Is it Anastasia? Anastasia? How do you pronounce her name?
Anastasia.
Anastasia. Um, and just that scene between them was pulled at my heartstrings. What about you, Jennifer?
Yeah, it definitely pulled at mine. And then I wanted to Angelo, I wanted to get him when she said that she was gonna take Nathan and leave,
Mm-hmm. And then
And
and
he
he
he just
got
turned
let
into
upset.
he turned into the mob boss.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
but I thought it was a beautiful scene and touching when she was crying in the bathroom, but then she realized that Nathan was still in the garden, so she went out
Mhm.
there with him, and just that entire scene was just touching, and all the scenes between them in that garden I loved, and it was so cute because he was still grieving Carter being gone. So
Mhm.
his mother was telling him he wanted to marry Carter. Now remember that they're only 3 and 5. He wanted to marry
Mhm.
Carter, so she told him, "Well, you have to wait until you get a job and some other stuff." She told him. So he goes to his father and says, "Father, I need a job so I can marry Carter." I loved it. It was so cute, so cute. That was
One of my
one
favorite
of my
scenes, you're
favorite
right.
scenes. Yes. And his
Yeah, that was
father
one
went
of mine
along with it
too.
too. Yeah. His
I
father
loved
told him
it
to write
too.
something. Did he tell him to write a letter or
Write a
something? No.
letter.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
was gonna write her a letter.
Yes.
I loved it. Loved it. Um. Okay. So Carter. She didn't have a anywhere near a normal childhood. She was kept um secluded basically. She didn't have any friends.
Mhm.
The only person that she had was Chrissy, her nanny.
Yes.
And even though she was just about an adult now, I guess that was more of a companion now
Yes.
in her world. And it was interesting to me when she was telling her father about an encounter, I guess when she had asked about her mother. And
Mhm.
even back when I first read it back then, I'm like, okay, something is going on.
Yes.
We find out that Robert has a twin
Mhm.
who is basically deranged.
Yes.
Very much deranged. So you did a good job with that too, like I told you, as far as as writing the deranged character. Um, and he would impersonate his brother sometimes.
Yes.
So when Carter thought that she was with her father, it was really him sometimes, and that's when he was acting out of character.
Yeah.
hmm Love that.
All
Love
because
that
he hated
dynamic
her
too.
mother.
Well, he hated her and he loved her.
Yeah.
He was obsessed with her, I
Is
should say.
he's
It was more
obsessed
obsessed.
with her.
Yeah.
Still
and
is. Yeah.
yes, yes, and that was a running theme through the series, I believe, because even with Carter's mother, she had the Silas, plus she had the other one, Paulo, that was
Mhm.
obsessed with her, and you get the sense that because of how her looks, um she was used up by men, even the ones who said they loved her, like Angelo and Cesar, I can't remember,
Cesare.
Cesare. They say they loved her, but they weren't willing to do what it took to have her prominent in their lives.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that's because she was also black. You know, she had brown skin.
Yeah, it was a lot of different factors back in when they were younger,
Right. And then I know in
and that
that
was one of
world,
them.
then it probably wouldn't have been accepted for, them to have a biracial
Mhm.
wife in their
Right.
life. But I was when we were getting some of Anastasia's story, her backstory, I felt for her too because she had to do what she had to do as far as because when her father died, she was basically on her own, and
Yes.
then this guy took her in, but he became obsessed with her, and just about every man in her path, they they wanted her for just her physical.
Yeah.
So that was difficult too, and I started understanding her more, and the decisions that she made, and you find out that her leaving Carter was to protect her
Yes.
because of all the enemies out there who wanted her, including Psycho Silas.
Yes.
Oh
And her
man,
family.
and her family. So so many layers to this series. I loved it. Um, Also, I wanted to talk about another standout moment to me was when Kyle, um, when she was kidnapped in the high rise and taken to the 27th floor, and they hit her so hard on the when they got her on the elevator that she ended up having she had head trauma,
Yes.
and she couldn't
Temporary
remember
amnesia.
anybody when she first came out of the coma
Mhm.
except Kyle.
Except Kyle. Yes.
So I thought that was interesting as well. And that could have been a blow to Nathan. But again, I
Mhm.
love that Kyle and Nathan's bond is so strong
Mhm.
that he was just glad, basically glad. But she did end up remembering him pretty fast, though. And I
Yes, she
love how
did.
Kyle was like, you have to remember, you have to see, you have to see Nathan. He's your fiance. And she was like, no, I just want to
Mhm.
stay here with you, basically.
Yeah, and he didn't capitalize on that.
Right, and he could have big time,
Yes.
and he
But
kept.
I
I think
believe
he. I
that
think he
would
even said
that
it
would affect
too.
the friendship.
Yeah, he even said it. You're killing me here, Carter, because the stuff that she was
Yeah.
saying. Oh, but that was one of the relationships that I loved the dynamics of Carter and Kyle, but also Nathan and Kyle, and then Nathan with the rest of his crew. But Carter with the rest of the crew, they defended her with their lives. She became a
Mhm.
part. She became basically became the sixth person.
Mhm.
Yeah, in their group. So I love the dynamics of that because I'm a sucker for strong family bonds and strong friendship bonds. So we definitely get that in this series. So I love that aspect too. Was
Yep.
that important for you too when you were writing it?
Yes, it really was. I wanted to. I know that there had to be an element of drama and stuff like that, but I didn't. I really wanted some people who were loyal to each other
Right.
and that had a tight family bond that wasn't easily broken.
Yes, because we get all the time with the betrayals and stuff like that, and we still get that in this book because they have people betraying them, but
Mhm.
the core, they were tight.
Exactly.
Even with the originals, and I love that she called them the originals. The
Mhm.
Nathan's father's generation, his brother,
Mhm.
even them, they had their spats and stuff, but
Yes.
because the stuff between Angelo and I still can't pronounce his name.
Cesare.
Cesare and Anastasia, that could have broken their friendship,
Yeah.
but it didn't. So I love that
Yeah.
too. What was one of your standout moments in book two, Jennifer?
When Carter told Nathan that her mama and his daddy was sleeping together.
And he was having a fit, wasn't he? He could not handle it. I'm like, oh my goodness. He was not trying to hear. And she was like, Nathan, it's not a big deal. They had a
Right.
pass. You could tell they had a pass. He was not trying to
Mhm.
hear it. And then another one for me was when they caught their parents in one of their heated fights.
Mhm.
And then it was all the cat was out the bag then because they couldn't
Yeah.
they couldn't hide it. But one of the moments that I liked too was when Nathan and Carter fell asleep in the garden, and their parents came out and saw them, and just that whole scene, they having this big discussion and blowout right with them over there asleep right next to him. And I'm like, now anybody, I'm like his father, anybody could have came back there and did, and they sleeping that
Yeah.
soundly. Oh man. So many standout moments. But I have to talk to you about the action scenes in the books.
Yes.
Stellar, 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 stellar. I actually messaged
Thank you.
Jennifer. I think it was book two. I had to actually message Jennifer about the scene when Carter's ex, and that is another story right there.
Mhm.
Shows up. Now,
I
was
haven't
that
gotten to
difficult
that
for you?
part yet.
Oh, you haven't. Okay, now was that difficult? And you do have trigger warnings.
Yes, I do. I made sure to put those there.
To decide to put stuff like incest and stuff in there.
Yeah, it was difficult, but I went pretty
Deep.
I went pretty deep in book 3, so I was like, might as well go all the way, make it dark.
Oh man, I'm like crazy, crazy, crazy. But the scene, um, all the action scenes and all the books, but the one where the ex shows up and gets Carter and puts her in, and see she's vulnerable because she just gets some devastating news.
Mhm.
Um, and so she's not on her guard. So her guard is down, and then she's surprised to see this guy.
Yes.
So she was an easy target at that point. And then Mickey and them are all distracted, which they shouldn't have been. And I think
Yeah.
actually that Nico, they need to get rid of him. Did
Yes.
they get rid of him?
I
Is it
don't
Nico
think.
or Rico?
I
Rico.
think it's. Yeah, I think you're talking about Rico. I don't think they got rid of him yet.
Cause I can remember if he was. I said they need to get rid of him because first he flirting with her. He lucky nothing didn't kill his man,
Yeah.
and I'm surprised
Yeah,
Carter didn't, go off on him. But she was being sweet, I guess, on him. But that was strike one, and then for him to drop the ball because Mickey left him with Carter, and then she ends up
Mhm.
getting kidnapped.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's time for him to go out there.
Mhm.
I was not happy with him at all. But the scene that I'm talking about is when they put Carter in the car and her mother and Mickey are running through the streets, and I could just visualize it. They running through the streets. Anastasia is jumping over car on top of cars to get to her baby. It's like, oh my
Yep.
gosh. And then she gets shot. I mean, it was just a lot going on, but it was so intense.
Yeah.
Now, who was the one who grabbed her when she almost get? Was that Mickey?
In the street
Yeah,
after,
huh. When the
I
car when
believe
the
that
car
was
was up when the car
his
was about to hit her.
father,
Okay, because I
Desiree.
couldn't tell who it was who had actually
Mhm.
grabbed her. Okay, um, but it was an intense scene. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Um, I remember I don't remember what book it was, but I remember from when I read it years ago. The scene in the lobby. Actually, was a few scenes in the
Mhm.
lobby a few scenes in the lobby, but this one was after
Yeah.
Carter had. This was after Carter had kids, so I knew it was in another book.
Oh,
Um,
after. Okay, so this is after the kids.
right,
So it
because
was
remember
book
it was a yeah. Remember it
4.
was a scene where
Book 4 with Kyle.
yes, yeah, okay,
Yes.
yes,
That's
another
one of
one.
my favorite scenes.
Yeah, Jennifer, when you get to that scene, that's in another book.
And
Another book.
Kyle finally finds himself, and
Yes,
that is what I love about that scene.
man, that
Because
such
he's always been the more level-headed, but
right.
then you have to remember he's also a part of a very mentally deranged family, so he had to get a little bit of that.
You're right. It's got to be a little bit in there, right? Um, and you're right. We get a lot more. He does come more into his himself, and we get the backstory between him and Carter's mother sooner than that though, don't we? We get it in this book,
Mhm.
I believe, in the third book.
Yes.
Um
I was gonna ask what's that gonna be in book 3
Which one?
the
about
connection.
Kyle finding himself, but
Oh,
I'm gonna
Kyle.
finish the other 3
Yeah.
books this weekend. That's on my to-do list.
Yeah, and it's gonna go fast because you're gonna be so engrossed. Let me see. Let's see what they're saying in the audience. Tabitha B is saying, yes, she loved when they met the Russian and enjoyed Freddie Rush. Yes, Freddie
Oh,
Russia, he
please,
was
this is
no joke with him and
really
his
no
fire.
Freddie Mercury. Yeah.
Him and his fire. I loved it. And then Tabitha B, the lobby scene when Kyle is one of with Kyle is one of my favorites.
Mhm.
Um, and Charlotte's asking a question: has Michelle done any of these books in audiobook?
I was thinking about it if you guys want it, and that's something I'll look into.
Yes, you got to get some good narrators though, because you got
Yes,
to
Yes.
be
yes.
somebody that can pull off Nathan Carter and Kyle and the rest of them. And these accents,
Mhm.
because they would have to get the accents down for the
Yes.
Italians
Yeah.
and stuff, and the Russians, because
Mhm.
Nathan speaks Russian a lot and has a Russian. They say he has a mix of Russian and
It's
Italian
in an
accent.
Italian accent.
Yeah, so they would it had definitely would have to be somebody who can pull that off. Um, does she plan on putting any of these? Yeah, she said if we want audio, she'll look into it. If our readers want audiobook. Can you hear me, Cheryl? Now, but okay, so oh, she's saying yes. Okay, good. All right, so I had lost my train of thought. Okay. Okay. Another standout for me was, and a heartfelt moment was when Nathan took Carter to his childhood home, and he and Carter, where they originally met as kids, and then he put the pictures that his mother took that day. Remember, she kept taking pictures of
Mhm.
them. And he had a little trail, and that she was picking up the pictures because she was a little girl, so she didn't even know that his mother had taken these pictures. I thought that was beautiful too, and I believe that's where he proposed to her.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a good scene too. What was another heartfelt for you, Jennifer?
it was that scene.
Yes, that was beautiful.
I know. I
That
think a little tear might have fell, but
was.
I ain't gonna.
Oh man. Um. Okay, now let's talk about the dynamics between. We talked a little bit, touched on it a little bit with Anastasia, Stasia, and Angelo. So Angelo, he loves Anastasia, but back in we get the backstory a little bit in book 2, I believe, where
Mhm.
she's telling him, "You basically let me go. You kept me as the mistress.
Right.
You married and had a child with somebody else, and expect me to still be around because she basically left."
Right.
Um, so they have a lot of baggage in their relationship. Angelo now wants a relationship with her. And and that's another thing. He's with another woman at this time when he's telling her he wants another
Yes.
relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Angelo, he takes her for granted.
Yes. He
Yeah.
was really ticking me off. Cause at first I was like, okay, I want them to be able to work it out and be together. But what she's saying is true. It's like he expects her to stay in the shadows, basically.
Yeah, he's always looking for the next advancement, and that's what his current girlfriend was.
Right.
She came from a very political family, and he's like, Anastasia will always be around. We're in love, but she's just more on the vibe of I'm not gonna stick around this time.
Right, right. And she basically tells Kyle's father the same thing because he's another one.
Right.
Um we get their backstory a little bit in one of the books, and she's basically telling him the same thing. You want me
Like,
to stay in the background. You're not willing to do what it takes.
yeah, the
Uh,
difference between him and Angelo was that Cesare was ready to do right.
so he was ready to do right. Okay.
He was ready to do right.
That's an interesting dynamic, though. The two best friends in
Mhm.
love with the same woman, and with her
Yeah.
at different and both with her at different points. Um, and they're able to keep the friendship intact.
Yes.
So that's very interesting dynamic to me. Now let's talk a little bit about Anastasia and her relationship with Robert, because that's
Mhm.
also like a complicated relationship. Because when I was reading it the first time around, I couldn't tell if they were actually have been in a relationship. But then when I read it the second time, she actually says, "Yes, we were in an intimate relationship." She said it took a while,
Yeah.
but we were. And I
They
think she was
were
21.
they got close whenever Silas kind of threw at his door and they started raising Carter together.
Right.
He
Um,
showed her compassion.
and they actually were intimate.
Yes, they were eventually, but
Okay.
that's something that Robert struggles with.
Right. I remember that from when I read it years ago, but I do
Hmm.
remember, I think she was the only one that he could be with, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Um, and I think it was so sad that they were already planning to be a family. She was on her
Hmm.
way to be with him and Carter when they were ambushed that night at the house.
Yes.
Um, that was a difficult scene too, because he waking Carter up, telling her to get out the house. She doesn't want to leave him, and normally he would be able to take on all of them, basically, I believe. But
Hmm.
they ended up drugging him, shooting him with something,
Hmm.
which makes it difficult for him to fight all of them. But his baby girl comes back.
Yes.
His baby girl comes back,
Does some
and
damage.
yes, and I love,
It did. Yes, it
and she is
did.
enraged and goes in, and that's when that deadly Carter comes out.
Yes.
Did you read that part, Jennifer?
Yeah, I read that part.
Okay, yeah. And we keep getting it. Everybody keeps saying, I can't remember who it was that went up there where she, where when she used her knives up on upstairs, and the one guy ended up
Hmm.
vomiting when he went up there. It was so grotesque that he ended up vomiting. And even Silas was surprised, because I guess he didn't seem like he would know that his brother had been training her, though, because he was coming around
Yeah,
pretending
he
to be
knew.
a.
He just didn't know what she was capable of.
Okay. I thought it was interesting too when she was when they had kidnapped her, and she had was trying to escape, and they were afraid of her,
Hmm.
but then I remember it's because of what they saw. Rizzo,
Hmm.
what's his guy name? Anzo,
Which one?
Silas's right hand. I can't think of his name.
Oh my goodness. I'm
Um,
drawing a blank too.
yeah, it's some
It's a
Zio or
foreign
something like that.
name.
But I'm like, why are they so afraid of this woman? But then I remember he saw what she was capable of, because he was the one who vomited,
Yes.
I believe.
He's the one that went up there to the room.
Right.
I have to look up his name again. I don't know how
Yeah,
to pronounce it.
yeah. She that I love Carter, and I love, because she even surprised Nathan and his father in them, because
Hmm.
they, I don't think that they realize exactly the extent of the type of training that her father gave her,
Yeah. She
because
was
they,
always a mystery.
right, it wasn't until they saw it for themselves. And I thought another brilliant scene was when after what happens to Carter, and then they come back to New York, and they meet at the sanctuary, where they have all the guys that betrayed them in the room, and they
Hmm.
lock the doors, and Nathan lets Carter take the lead,
Yes.
I thought that was brilliant too, and
And she
I
played a little
love,
game of Silas.
yes, yes, and Gianni, that was brilliant. She basically made him hurt himself.
Yes.
So she went, and because he was scared of what she would do, so he was hurting himself. Um,
Hmm.
Loved it, loved it, loved it. I loved again her skill with the knives. For the other ones, just
Yeah.
I love her character, and I love the chemistry, the bond, the connection between her and Nathan, especially when he got on the same page. Because
Hmm.
at first, remember, he kept trying to like keep stuff from her and
Yes.
um protect her, but he had to realize who he was married to.
Exactly.
Right. And then they were forced to be reckoned with.
Yes, and that was what she was trying to. That was what she was trying to do the whole time. Like, let's
Right.
do this together.
Right. And that made all the difference. Cheryl Montgomery is saying Wesley Siobhan is a good narrator.
Yes, she is. I love her work
But do you, oh, you mean for Carter, Cheryl? Because
on
who do you,
audio.
how do you think, who do you think would be good for Nathan? Because it would have to be somebody that is good with accents. Um, yeah, I would love to hear it on audio to see how they bring it to life.
Hmm.
Yeah, that would be something. Okay, so let's see. Um, another let's see, another lighthearted moment that I liked was in book two when Nathan and Carter went to the grocery store, and this was Nathan's first time at the grocery store since he was a little boy. And
Yes.
he was going crazy over the cereal boxes because he didn't even know they still made Fruit Loops or something. He was eating fruit.
Yeah,
That
it
was.
was Fruit Loops.
Oh man. Oh, Wesley is a man. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. Uh,
But
she said it's okay. So Wesley is a man. Okay,
okay, there's another Wesley on there that's a girl that
that's what
I've
I thought.
heard.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But yeah, that scene in the grocery store that was hilarious. And then all the women in this little small town, they captivated by Nathan's good looks, and
Oh yes.
they come and surround him in the aisle, and Carter not standing there.
Oh, suburbia.
Yes, 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 yes. So that was a good scene, and I like that Carter kept trying to tell herself, talk to herself, like, don't overreact, don't get mad, don't do it, don't
Right.
do anything, don't do anything, because she kept hearing her father in her head.
Right.
I love that she met Kath, was it Catherine, Cat, and her daughter, her
Catherine
little daughter.
and her
Yeah,
little girl.
yeah,
Yes,
her
I
little girl
love
was
them.
adorable. Yeah. And we're gonna see more of them later on in the books too, Jennifer. They are in the books.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's good. But you did a good job too showing Carter when she finds out when Anastasia and Angelo, when they revealed to Nathan and Carter the secrets from the past and the family and stuff,
Hmm.
and the truth about Carter's parentage. Um, and she goes into this depression where she's not eating, she's drinking more. Her and Nathan are basically not connecting,
Hmm.
and I love how you portray what she was going through.
Hmm. Thank
Um,
you.
So basically, you telling me that I'm gonna be crying.
it
If
is
y'all
gonna
don't know,
be.
if y'all don't know, I'm an emotional reader. So
But there is hope because Nathan is gonna do everything he can to bring her out of it, and he is dealing with stuff, but he's suppressing his stuff.
Yep.
Um, and what I like that it's Dante that ends up giving Nathan advice, telling him, okay, this is what your wife is probably feeling, and that is like an aha moment for Nathan.
Hmm.
And then him and Carter are able to. Nathan opens up about what he's feeling. and then it makes her open up.
Open up.
Hmm. I thought that was beautiful as well.
Mhm.
Um, Great job with that.
Thank you.
Um, okay, so we're getting close to the time, so we can't discuss all the books because it's just not
Yeah.
enough time. But I do recommend for anybody who hasn't read the series to pick it up because you will love it. You will love it. You will love these characters. If you love romance, you will love these characters. If you like intense action and all of that, you'll get that as well. If you like strong family bonds and strong friendship bonds, you'll get that in this as well. Um, okay, so we're gonna do a giveaway. Um, okay, what are they gonna get? Somebody, a lucky audience member. What are they gonna get, Michelle?
I have two $10 gift cards to Amazon.
Okay, good. Okay, so we can do two drawings. Okay, let me see. Tabitha B is saying, is there a tentative release date?
There's not one that I am willing to share yet.
So Tabitha, you just have to be on the lookout. Do you have a
There's
newsletter on your
one.
website?
I don't. I just post on there on the
Okay.
wall. So
Okay.
if you just put in my website, it'll be right there on the wall.
Okay, good. So we can keep abreast of that. And Cheryl is saying she will be reread. I'm telling you, Cheryl, I'm rereading it now, and it's just like I'm reading it for the first time. I meant to just skim it, and I'm actually reading it again. So that tells you. So you'll love it. You'll love it. And okay, so uh, I hope you all were listening when I was asking Michelle questions. Okay, so for our first giveaway, let's see. What when I asked Michelle what is the most difficult thing about being an author, what was her answer? Does anybody remember? And I was saying some authors don't believe in it. I'm giving you a little hint.
Because if I could enter, I definitely would because I know the answer.
Oh man. Anybody? Yay, Islin! Yes, right. Writer's Block. Congratulations, you're our first winner. Um,
Congratulations, Evelyn.
so let me write that down so I don't forget. Okay. You get one of the Amazon. You said Amazon, right?
Yes.
Okay, one of the Amazon gift cards. I already have your email address, so I'll get that over to Michelle. Is it physical or is it e?
E.
Okay, just to
Yes.
make sure. Okay. Okay, sure, you'll go. You'll have to try on this next one because Island already put it. Okay, so the next one is I asked Michelle when she's looking for her go-to romance. What is her go-to? When she said that she doesn't really do the movies, but she has a go-to for a book. Who is the book? You can give me the name of the author or the name of the book. Anybody? Let me look over here on Instagram, make sure I'm not missing anybody. Anybody remember the name of the author that she likes to
And
read?
see, I can't enter, and I know the author, but I don't forgot the title.
All right, Cheryl, you have it. You have it. Cheryl Montgomery, she has a Sally perfectly mixed. Congratulations to our
Yes.
two winners.
Congratulations,
Congratulations.
ladies.
Congratulations. Cheryl, um, give me your email address. You can just put it in the group. And then I'll get it over to Michelle. All right. Or you can put it here. Either way. All right. So congratulations to our winners.
Yay.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your email address so I can get the email over to Michelle so she can get you the gift card. So I just need your email address. I might already have it. I'll check. All right, or I just ask you out. Like I said, I'll ask you in the group. All right. So Michelle, you did tell us a little bit, but what do you have that you can talk about that's coming up?
It's Dangerous Beauty 6, and then I have a book that's unrelated to that series called The Boss's Daughter.
That's a mafia as well. As well.
Yes,
Okay. Love it.
a
Love it.
new mafia family.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And we have your information on the screen in case anybody wants to keep in touch, stay in touch with you. Um, what did Cheryl was asking me? Did you put it in the comments, Cheryl? Because I don't see it. If you put it in the group, I'm not out there yet. I'll check it when I get off the live. But I'll get with you to get it from you. All right. So Michelle, I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having
Like I
me.
told you, I read this years ago and it stayed with me. And I still love these characters, so I definitely wanted to have you on to talk about it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have you back on when the next book comes out.
Yes, please.
Yes, yes. All right, and I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening and being so engaged. And again, if you have not read the series, I highly recommend it. It's called Dangerous Beauty, and you will not regret it, believe me. All right, so everyone have a great evening, and I'll see you next time.